As we wait in anticipation for the release of Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, now's a good time to catch up on what the Shelby family has been up to over the years. Now, if you don't want spoilers of the show, you might want to leave now. As for the rest of you, sit up, take note, and no fucking fighting, okay?
Our story begins in 1919, where, in the wake of World War I, Thomas, Arthur and John Shelby return to Birmingham. The brothers are changed by the war, and none more so than Tommy. In their absence, their Aunt Polly has been overseeing the operations of the Peaky Blinders.
This whole bloody enterprise was women's business while you boys were away at war.
But their return marks Tommy resuming his role as the leader, despite being second eldest to Arthur.
I think, so that you don't have to.
In an unceremonious return to form, the Peaky Blinders mistakenly steal a delivery of guns meant for the British military, and Inspector Campbell is sent to investigate their whereabouts on behalf of the Crown. In order to get closer to the Peaky Blinders, who he believes to have stolen them, Campbell and Grace go undercover as a barmaid to track down their whereabouts. Meanwhile, Ada Shelby is pregnant with the child of Tommy's former comrade, the communist Freddie Thorne. Despite Tommy being initially against the match, the pair marry in secret, and he learns to make peace with his sister's match. Never one to play it safe, Tommy is also trying to make moves in the horse racing scene, and draws the ire of bigwig and bookmaker Billy Kimber.
Is there any man here named Shelby?
Tommy leverages the stolen guns to ensure law enforcement stays out of his business in horse racing. Tommy also plays multiple gangs off against each other as part of a wider plot. This involves him starting a war with the Lee family, despite the Shelbys having Romany blood, in order to have a mutual enemy to unite the Peaky Blinders with Kimber and his men.
It would be an honour to work with you, Mr. Kimber.
This feud leads to the Lee family inscribing Tommy's name on a bullet, a threat he would do well to take seriously. So, in order to reunite the clans once the feud no longer serves the family and their business, Tommy convinces his younger brother John to marry Esme of the Lee family by deploying his signature combination of eloquence and intense eye contact as he asks John,
War or peace?
Meanwhile, Grace is working as a barmaid at the garrison. She and Tommy spend time together and eventually fall in love. Grace learns the location of the stolen guns from a loose-lipped Arthur and attempts to use this information to bargain with a displeased Campbell to ensure Tommy is not implicated. Campbell proposes to Grace, and she turns him down. The guns are seized, but the Peaky Blinders keep one for themselves, which they use to turn the tides on a final confrontation with Billy Kimber and his men, which ends when Billy is shot and killed by Tommy. After a confrontation with the spurned Detective Campbell, Grace shoots him in self-defense, but not before we're left on a fade to black cliffhanger that leaves us wondering who was shot. We learn that Grace, mercifully still alive, has escaped to America. However, Detective Campbell also survived the altercation and returns with a vengeance. He blackmails Tommy Shelby into working for the English government as a hitman for hire. The Peaky Blinders also expand their ambitions to London, although the plan isn't supported by all of the Shelby family, in particular Polly and Esme. Tommy, being Tommy, he continues on with a plan that finds them teaming up with a Jewish gang run by the enigmatic Alfie Solomons. A smart move by Tommy, as not only does it give him an ally in an upcoming fight against the Italian mob, but also provides us with some of the most unforgettable lines.
I want him to acknowledge that his anger is unfucking justified.
Stretch your legs, Treacle.
Fuck me, he looks like he's grown. Since we left London, he's like a mushroom, isn't he? He grows in the dark.
Polly attempts to track down her children, who were removed from her care years before. Tommy helps her find her son Michael, who takes an interest in the family business, initially starting out as an accountant in Polly's attempt to keep him on the legal side of the operations. Leader of the Italian mob, Sabini, makes a play to get Alfie Solomons on side to rally against the Peaky Blinders, which is a short-lived alliance complicated by a genius bluff from Tommy Shelby.
I'll hide a hand grenade on one of your barrels.
Grace returns to England, and despite being married, she and Tommy spend a night together, with her later revealing, at a less than ideal moment, that she is pregnant with his child. The Peaky Blinders carry out an ambush on the Italian mob at the races. Tommy is captured by Campbell's men, who, under his orders, plan to kill him now his work for Campbell is done. Polly kills Campbell, and his plan to kill Tommy is overthrown as Prime Minister Winston Churchill steps in to stop the assassination. As he sees Tommy Shelby as more useful to him alive than dead, Tommy escapes death. Just. After a period of uncharacteristic happiness in a lavish new mansion, Grace gives birth to their son Charles, and she and Tommy are married. Tommy enjoys married bliss for all of 10 minutes before going into business with the Russians. His new mission is to illegally supply weapons to the Russians to aid them and put a stop to the spread of communism. After threatening Angel Changretta in order to prevent him from attending Grace and Tommy's wedding, his father Vincente confronts the family and the meeting quickly turns sour. John beats up and subsequently blinds Angel, and a retaliation from Vincente sees him order the murder of Tommy. The bullet meant for him hits Grace instead, and she dies in Tommy's arms. In a haze of grief, Tommy eventually finds himself involved with the Russian heiress Tatiana Petrovna. But this does little to assuage the pain of loss. After losing Grace, Tommy loses his grip on becoming the man she helped him be, and he is irrevocably changed. He is, however, motivated by revenge. He is hell-bent on making Changretta pay, and plans to torture Vincente before Arthur puts a stop to the act by killing Vincente in a small act of mercy. The dealings with the Russians and the promise of Jules as payment sees Tommy plan to betray the Russians before they can betray him. The precarious relationship between Tommy and Alfie Solomons continues to swing between allies and enemies.
Left the name off the list, Alfie.
Did I?
Yeah.
And although the Blinders' plans are pulled off successfully, there are some loose ends that remain untied. The Shelby family, with the exception of Tommy, is arrested and sentenced to death row. Tommy has plans to ensure the release of his family, but despite being pardoned at the 11th hour, their brush with death leaves them with a bad taste in their mouth. The family feels betrayed by Tommy, and the Shelbys are left fractured. Luca Changretta, the son of Vincente and brother of Angel, declares war on the Shelbys for the death of his family. Tommy finds and kills a spy for the Italians in his home and asks the Shelbys to reunite for a family meeting.
Family meeting, Charlie's Yard, Boxing Day, midday.
In the hopes they will move back to Small Heath, where they are better protected. John refuses to attend, and the Changretta vendetta leads to John and Michael being shot at John's home with Esme. Michael is seriously wounded, and John dies of his injuries. Reunited by retribution, the family gather together to take down Luca. Polly seemingly makes a deal with Luca to ensure her and Michael's safety in return for Tommy. They hire hitman Aberama Gold, who agrees to aid them if the Peaky Blinders bring his son Bonnie into the fold to help his boxing career. During Bonnie's boxing match against Goliath, Arthur appears to be murdered by Luca's men. After Tommy requests a meeting with Changretta and his men under the guise of a parley, it is revealed that Tommy has gotten on the good side of the other New York gangs. Not only that, but there is a surprise appearance from a definitely not murdered Arthur, who appears just in time and shoots Luca. Having learned that the Alfie Solomons pendulum has swung back in the direction of enemies, Tommy confronts him on his alliance with the Italians, and Tommy shoots Alfie.
Fucking get on with it and stop acting like a little girl.
Alfie!
Tommy begins a relationship with Lizzie, or rather, restarts in a more proper fashion, and together they have a daughter, Ruby. He continues to seek out opportunities for legitimate power and trades information to the Communist Party, which aids him in successfully running for Parliament. Another uneasy alliance forms between Tommy and PM Oswald Mosley, with Tommy's true motivation being to infiltrate his fascist movement after warnings from his sister Ada. Polly's son Michael marries Gina and returns to Birmingham after a failed attempt to legitimise the Shelby operations in America.
Welcome to the family, Gina Gray.
A gang called the Billy Boys are a pervading threat to the Shelby family now, and they introduce themselves to Tommy by shooting Aberama Gold and killing his son Bonnie.
These gentlemen are the Billy Boys.
Feeling they're on the back foot, Tommy responds to the Billy Boys' threat by offering a truce. Aberama is displeased by the arrangement, but is offered Polly's hand as a peace offering. Michael seizes the opportunity for an attempted coup and tries to oust Tommy as head of the family business. Tommy banishes Michael, and in response, Polly resigns from her role, but not before telling Tommy of a prophecy she had seen.
There will be a war, and one of you will die, but which one I cannot tell.
Ada strikes up a relationship with Colonel Ben Younger, who tragically dies before learning Ada is pregnant with his child. Tommy plans an assassination attempt on Oswald Mosley and recruits Alfie Solomons, now bearing the scars of the last time he crossed Tommy. He asks for the help of Solomons and his men to veil the assassination attempt beneath the guise of a riot. However, Billy Grade, a member of the Peaky Blinders and a good friend to youngest Shelby brother Finn, leaks the plan and gets Tommy's assassin killed before he can carry out the job. Aberama Gold is also murdered after a failed attempt to kill the leader of the Billy Boys to avenge his son Bonnie. Unused to having his plans usurped by the enemy, Tommy reaches a new low, but things are only about to get worse from here on out. Polly is murdered by the IRA, who reveal they are also behind the thwarting of the assassination attempt on Mosley. This strengthens the feud between Tommy and Michael, who blames his uncle for the death of his mother and promises to avenge her death.
I will take revenge on Tommy, shall we?
Tommy returns from exile after Lizzie tells him their daughter Ruby is sick. Tommy asks Esme to heal Ruby, but she cannot help, and Ruby succumbs to her illness. Esme tells Tommy he has a son called Duke by the now deceased Zelda, a Romany woman Tommy met before leaving to fight in World War I.
A daughter lost. A son found.
Tommy is forever changed by Polly's death and speaks to her when he's alone. Arthur journeys to confront Hayden Stagg, who is organising the sale of Tommy's opium that is now stored in dock warehouses in Liverpool. It is his silver tongue that gets him out of trouble with the Peaky Blinders.
Beneath your sleeves lies the truth.
Arthur struggles to come to terms with Polly's death and returns to drink and drugs. Ada tries to look after Arthur as best she can, and eventually Tommy pays Arthur's ex-wife Linda to help him stay clean. Tommy is told he has an inoperable illness, causing him to believe he must get his affairs in order with the little time he has left. Tommy introduces his son Duke to the Peaky Blinders.
This here is Erasmus.
Nobody calls me that.
I call him Duke.
He gets involved in the business and alongside Finn, who is now married to Mary. Finn's loyalties come into question, however, as he is still friends with Billy Grade, who betrayed the family by leaking the assassination plans. Finn's loyalty is put to the test, and he shows his hand, as instead of shooting Billy, he turns the gun on Duke. After Duke takes the gun from Finn, he shoots Billy and banishes Finn from the family.
You are no longer a member of this Shelby family. By order of the Peaky fucking Blinders.
As part of an ongoing opium deal, Tommy meets with Gina, her Uncle Jack, Oswald Mosley and his wife, hiding his disdain for the fascist party and their dealings with Hitler. He later informs Winston Churchill of the meeting. Tommy sleeps with Oswald's wife, but Lizzie finds out, and this proves the final nail in the coffin after a marriage spent neglected by Tommy, and so she leaves him. Lizzie assumes Tommy would not allow her to take his son Charlie from his previous marriage to Grace, but after Charlie makes his own feelings clear, he allows it. Tommy makes a deal with Alfie Solomons to give him an opium supply that would allow him to strengthen his dealings in America to rival Gina's Uncle Jack. Arthur fights members of the IRA, and his hard-won victory serves as a form of revenge for Polly's death.
Rest in peace, Pop.
Jack orders Michael to kill Tommy, and he plants a bomb under Tommy's car. Tommy anticipated the move, however, and had Johnny Dogs put the bomb on another vehicle. Tommy confronts Michael and shoots him, bringing truth to Polly's prophecy. Tommy arranges the demolition of Arrow House to make way for affordable housing in Birmingham, and perhaps to try rid himself of the ghosts of loss that haunt the halls of his former home. Believing he is dying, Tommy says goodbye to his family and moves into a caravan, planning to shoot himself before the curse of the tumour takes him. Just before pulling the trigger, a vision of his daughter Ruby appears and tells him it is not his time yet. She also reveals the doctor who diagnosed his terminal illness was a friend of Oswald Mosley, who was paid to misdiagnose him in an attempt to remove him as a threat to Mosley's plans. Tommy confronts the doctor, but chooses to let him live, realising he's been given a second chance, and rides away to begin a new life. Tommy's self-imposed exile away from society is where we find him, in The Immortal Man, broken, but forced to face his most destructive reckoning yet. Will he choose to confront his legacy or burn it to the ground?
And what's left for me to do now is to tell you to watch Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, 6th of March in select cinemas and on Netflix on 20th of March.